Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the GuideTech Podcast, episode number 13. Today, I'll be your host, Garrett Shackelford. I'm joined by co-host Logan Meaux, co-host Hunter. And Logan, I'll let you introduce our fourth guest today.
Yeah, so we got a very special guest on the podcast today. Well, special to me in my heart because you were the first of our customers to really adopt what we know to be Guide as it is today. And, you know, at the time it's definitely not what it is today.
Oh no, it's come a long way.
And so, I of course am very appreciative of that. I've been to your outfitter last 3 years, and you run a very tight ship, and I know it didn't start that way. So that's why I'm very excited to talk to you today, and also Hunter and Garrett. What does it take to do what you've done with Prairie Bomb, and also get to know your background a little bit too. But I'll let kind of Garrett steer the conversation for me.
Yeah, for sure. And Vince, I think the best thing to do is just really jump into, like Prairie Bomb, what it is now, and then we'll go back and we'll start asking questions about kind of your business acumen, where you got it from, your background, and everything like that. So, yeah, it's a super interesting story how you ended up owning and operating Prairie Bomb. So I'd love to just lay it out on the table for everybody.
Well, it's so I'm Vince Kimbrough. I turned 55 tomorrow. I'm old. I my career, my background started in a completely different way. I started in law enforcement. For me, I was a policeman for just under 27 years, right at 27 years. And I've always been an avid hunter. Grew up in Texas as a kid. Hunting deer, hunting whitetails, rabbits, squirrels, quail, big quail hunter as a kid. Got into duck hunting in around 18, 19 and loved it. Got hooked. Like I shot my first duck at Lake Fork. Had a great time doing that. And then shortly after I joined the Marine Corps, took my life on a different path. Post Marine Corps, got into law enforcement in California. So I went to Marine Corps in California, went to boot camp, went to Camp Pendleton. After Camp Pendleton, moved to Northern California, where I got hired to work for a sheriff's department, Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department. Shout out to my boys. Back in the sheriff's department, some great guys still there. It's a great organization. Went to the sheriff's department and then finished my career at a different agency. The last 8 of it at the Newark Police Department, just inside the Bay Area, between the Oakland and Santa Clara corridor. So for me, that's what I did, and then at the end of my police career, I got involved in a small insurance brokerage where, knowing who I was personality wise, I knew I needed to work. I like to work. Right. And so when I retired from law enforcement, I knew I needed to have something to do to keep me busy, to keep my wife from going crazy and me bugging her. And then I think too is when you're busy, when you're free of time, you spend a lot of money, and I don't mind spending money. Yeah. And so I figured I better make some additional money. So I got into insurance thinking that would be my retirement gig. I was just going to do insurance. And then 4 years ago, I went to hunt. I went to Sandhill Crane Hunt. I was retiring. My wife's like, hey, go pick a hunt, go do whatever you want to do, go retire. So I got together with a high school friend of mine, David Hernandez, and David and I ended up hunting in Amarillo with Carson Rains, who actually owned Prairie Bomb Outfitters. And so Carson owned it. He and another kid owned it, and we went and hunted. I had a blast. It was top notch. Hunting was great. Could have been any better. And it was so good that we were going to book again the next year and go back. And in my conversations with Carson then, it was, we can't afford to go back. It's just super expensive. Right. So having some spendable income and putting some money away, I said, hey, how about I buy in and I buy a share? And so I bought a third, and then ended up going from a third to a half, where Carson and I owned it. And then last year, Carson made the decision to stay on in the company, but just not be an owner. For him, he felt like he was a better guide and hunter than he was on the backside of it. So for him, he struggled with the responsibility of that ownership side, all that extra work that goes with it. It just wasn't his cup of tea. And so I took over, last year, and here we are getting ready for our fourth year, as a company with me involved in it.
Mm-hmm. And you brought on another co-owner as well.
I do have another co-owner now, Paul Massey, owner of Third Coast Retrievers. Paul's somebody that I met a few years back through a mutual friend, and Mike Rash, owner of Performance Labs in Don Pedro, California, introduced me to Paul. And Paul's a gifted dog trainer. If you're looking for a dog to get trained, get a hold of Paul. Third Coast Retrievers down in Wharton, Texas. Great guy. Hilarious. He's hilarious. Just great personality, fun guy to be around. I mean, yeah, he's just fun. And the cool thing about Paul is Paul speaks dog. Like everybody can train a dog, right? Paul can train a dog, right? Paul speaks dog. So I thought, what better person to kind of bring aboard to help me run the business than Paul? And so last year I made the decision to bring Paul in as an owner. So Paul and I are now 50-50 owners of Prairie Bomb. So, yeah.
Well, very cool. Yeah, Vance, I'd like to get like a little bit of background on kind of obviously you said they said they're not going to be able to come back and hunt because it is so expensive. But when you decided to buy into it, what did you see in the company? And obviously you saw something in it to be willing to buy into it. And I just kind of want to feel and have other people understand what that urge was to commit and jump into something like that.
So for me, the reality of what I felt comfortable about was Carson. Right? If you've been around Carson Rains, you know what type of personality he has, man. He's just the happiest, makes you feel great about yourself, makes you feel great about the moment. And that little son of a gun can hunt and it put people on birds. And he's really good at scouting, understanding what birds are doing. And so for me, when I decided to put my money into this, I was putting my money into Carson and what he was trying to do. And then now it's my team. It's Carson and Dawson and Bill and Peanut and the crew. So for me, that's kind of been the biggest change, is the crew is kind of what the investment is now, because you're only as good as your guides, right? You can have some great hunting, right? But if your guides are shit and they're not personable, they're not engaged. So for me, deciding to buy into this thing was buying into the boys, right? And what in the area and what the area had to offer, not just world-class lesser geese hunting, but sandhill crane hunting and some duck hunting. So for me, it was an opportunity to do something I thought I'd always kind of thought about doing as a kid. And when the opportunity presented itself, I took it with a lot of risk. There's a bunch of risk, right? And convincing my wife that there was, this was going to be great was every year I'd say, this is going to be great. But no, it's kind of become what it is, right? But the initial part of it was scary as hell, right? Here I'm giving a 19-year-old kid a bunch of money to build a business, right? And when I started it from Carson, God love him, we didn't have insurance, we didn't have an LLC, right? We were just taking friends and family out and hunting. That's what they were doing. And so for us, when I took over, we said, okay, let's make it a business. And let's start an LLC. Let's get insurance. Let's get bonded. Let's get legal paperwork, for, lease agreements, those kind of things, trespass letters. Let's build a website. Let's make this thing into something different, than what it was. And that took a lot of work, a lot of time.
I love what you said about investing in the guides themselves. And Hunter, I saw you shaking your head over there. I'm sure that's something you can relate to as well.
Yeah, you gotta invest in the people, man. I mean, as an owner, as someone, I guess even though I guide a lot myself, but as a guy who sits above and looks back on everything for our company, if you don't have a group of guys that you can't trust to be able to put forth the absolute best experience and the best foot forward every single day, you don't got nothing.
On the days that it's bad, and we all know there's bad hunting days, right? On the days that the birds just aren't working, or they decided, we're just not doing it today, we're going to go somewhere else, right? All that great scouting for whatever reason just didn't work. If your guides aren't good, then and entertaining your customers in some way with conversation or communication or showing them that effort. Hey, we're really, you know, it can ruin a hunt, right? And a good guide can correct a lot of bad bird habit, right? Or bad, just pick the wrong field that day where it was a mistake. We made a mistake. We missed. And a good guide can help fix some of that, can solve some of that for you. A bad one can make it worse.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, and I 100% agree. And I've got to see that with different outfitters that I've got to go and hunt with, and seeing what like a true team of guides can do, especially when the hunting is bad. But Vince, when you went in, I kind of want to understand, when did you decide to actually make the purchase and like acquire it? Was it during that season, or was it off season and then you were ready to roll into the kind of the next season?
So I called Carson in April or May to
Okay.
book that hunt, right, for November.
Okay.
And it's during that time. So I had this May to November, May to October, when crane season started to kind of, okay, what the hell did I get myself into, right? And the cool thing about it is what I learned that first year, or even we talked about that first 90 days, is I don't know what I don't know.
Mm.
And you have to be able to humble yourself to ask, okay, who do I call and ask, right? Who do I know that I can say, hey, how does this work? Or how does that work? So I relied on Carson a lot. And then some other people that had reached out and said, hey, here's my thought, my 2 cents. And so we kind of took it as, okay, this first year, this is our goal. Our goal is to be a true business, create a company, update our equipment to the best of our ability financially that we can afford, and reinvest back in the business. So let's run this season based on that kind of mentality, right? And it was a shitty little trailer, right? A side by side, and that was about what we had. And we went out and ran hunts. We took our first year of business. We made 35 grand total gross, right? And we were proud of that number, right? That was a lot of hard work. And then did we break even? By no means did we break even. We were, right? I think Hunter can understand that initial investment, that capital investment in your business is expensive, and it takes money. So, I was lucky. I had a police retirement. I had a wife that was working. I had an insurance company where I could pull some monies without my wife killing me, and have her explain, hey, I need these decoys. I got to have this, right? We got to, and then having other people come in and invest in the business helped, right? Paul bringing some new funds in this last year, so on and so forth. So, but that first year was tough, and then to be honest with you, what saved us that first year was a call from Joel, right? I think I got a call. We started the company in May. I got a call from Joel in June. I think he was still in college. Right? I get this college kid calling me, hey, I got this great product. This is what we're looking for, and for whatever reason, I listened. I said, okay, here again, I don't know what I don't know. So why not listen? It doesn't take 5 minutes of my time to listen to what this kid had to say. And the way he presented it made sense to me. It opened up my book of business to a different world through an Airbnb style, right? And that was the original, I think, format. Logan was just, we're going to do this little bit of, build this little platform, put people out there, and they can find you. I think it's what Mallard Bay has become, is something completely so on above what the original idea has become. I think it's amazing. But that original idea was, hey, would you like to be a plank owner, kind of the beginning of this? And we said yes. And that started everything. It changed everything for us. That yes opened up a better website. It opened us up to other hunters. It opened us up to some ad space. It opened us up to getting on the internet in a way that we weren't getting on the internet. It helped us grow as an organization, and I think it helped Mallard Bay grow as an organization, right? So then we go to a trade show, and here's Vince Kimbrough, and some outfitters him and hawing about doing this, and I'm like, dude, you're silly. You need to do this. They're going to help you grow, and I'll toot our horn. We went from a $30,000 a year company this year to a $270,000 gross company last year with five employees. That's it. That's all we have. We don't have a lodge yet, right? That's just from booking hunts and working and guiding and that's so where we've started to where we've gotten in 3 years is a huge part of it. It has to do with partnering with the right people. And in that first 90 days, Mallard Bay was the right decision for us. And it's been the right decision ever since. We love these guys.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate that. And we've appreciated the partnership just along the way and all the kind words. You've always been someone at the trade shows that like you said, you nudge people along and push them in the right direction. But yeah, I wanted to hear some of the key tactics. I know you've kind of covered them, but maybe getting a little bit more gritty. Actually, not even the tactics, but like major glaring issues that when you bought this company, maybe it's not the insurance, but maybe it's the way the company is actually ran, the back end stuff that people don't usually see that was like glaringly a problem, and I need to fix this.
The problem was structure, right? So, okay, so this is a twofold problem. The problem was structure. We had no SOPs. We had no structure on how we're going to run our day-to-day operations. We had no schedule of who was going to do what, a calendar, a maintenance schedule, right? Who was going to take care of what, right? So even that first couple of years, it still took time, right? Because you only had that second year in business. It was me, Dawson, and Carson. We had 3 guides, and we were running our ass off. And so you couldn't. Somebody had to sleep, and somebody had to scout, and so that first year was really, really tough about establishing those SOPs. And then I'm gonna throw myself on the sword here. I screwed up so bad. My management style to start this thing was so wrong. So I come from a paramilitary organization. I came from the Marine Corps to law enforcement.
Right. And
so as a lieutenant, or even as a sergeant, if I say, hey, we're going to go do this, guess what? We're going to go do it. And guys were going to, whether they wanted to or not, they were going because they were like, oh, the boss said we're going. What I had to learn is that doesn't bode well in the private sector with people. And so what I've had to grow over the last years is I'm not this field general, right? I'm just Vince. And that I have to learn to communicate better and have a different expectation of people in our environment and how we want them to work and how we foster those relationships, right? Because I know how to go do police work and how to run stuff, right? I know how to go do all that. What I had to learn was how to work with people that have never been in that environment. And so the first couple of years was really difficult because I would get really frustrated on my level of expectation was different than the expectation of my employees. And it took me some time, and it's still different. I'm the owner, you know what I'm saying? It's different. I think Hunter's smiling. It's different.
Yeah.
I want it a certain way, right? I want us to wear, when we're in the field, we wear Prairie Bomb gear. We're not wearing somebody else's apparel. We're not wearing somebody else's hat. We're repping our brand, right? And if you're showing up in a piece of equipment, that stuff would drive me bananas. And trying to convince young guys that wearing a rope hat with somebody else's logo on it doesn't help our brand can be difficult, right? Because they got a way they want to look and how they want to act. And so for me, it's been a lot of learning of how to take a breath, look at it from a different perspective, put my shoes on through my guide's eyes. How do they want to be treated? And really focus to do a better job. I was shit that first couple of years. I could be difficult. I know I could. And I've learned from that. And this last year was a great year. We still had some growing pains, had to have some hard conversations, but once you have those, they seem to not happen as often. And so for now, I think right now we have the most trust and the most vibe and gel we've had since we started the company with our current staff. And it's because we've had those hard conversations and because we talked about earlier, ego is the enemy of everybody, right? And you can't let it get in the way. And if you do, disabling everything that's good in your company just because of ego. It's like I was telling Hunter, I'm super proud to know Hunter and to know what they're doing at Whiskey Sloughs. They're crushing it. Damn, they got it. Their lodge is great. They put on phenomenal hunts. They do a fantastic job, right? They do. And I'm super happy for him. I'm so happy for his success because his success makes me want to work harder, not be envious or jealous of him. It makes me want to say, okay, what can I glean from Hunter? What can I glean from what he's doing up there in Nebraska? And how can I apply those techniques to me here in Amarillo and make me a better outfitter? You know, is it, hey dude, how did you coordinate your, and Hunter and I can hopefully have this conversation about, how did you,
Yeah.
how did you figure out your fee schedule for when you got your lodge on food costs and cleaning costs and laundry costs and right to sit down and say, okay, so I don't make those mistakes that they made, right? To maybe save me a little headache down the road, And so those are the kind of things that I try to glean from people that are successful. And I don't think Hunter's more successful than me. I don't look at it that way. I just look at it, he's crushing it, right? I don't see it as there's not a competition here, to be the number one. I want to provide a great service. He wants to provide a great service, right? If I can ever help him, I would love to, right? And I think vice versa. But it's not about ego. It's about being happy for others' success, and I'm always happy about others' success. Good for them. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. First of all, that we're all friends here. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. People you run side by side with people, and it's like there's plenty of clients to go around. There's plenty of people you can book. There's plenty of different hunts you can provide. Like, I've just never seen the point of getting at someone's throat. You know what I mean? Getting angry at somebody else who's doing a good job. Just work harder. That's basically every time I see someone who's doing a great job, just like Vince said, all it makes me do is, all right, well, there's my standard, get going kind of thing. And what you were talking about, like with the growing pains in the first 2 years of management and trying to like be a leader, literally basically described my entire last 2 years through your own last 2 years. Like the amount of, because I started off the same way.
I'm not alone.
It's exactly the same way. Like if shit wasn't getting done the way I wanted it done, ass chewing, what are we doing? Getting after people. And it's like, I learned real quick that that's just not how the world's going to work. Like you can't do that. Whenever you have to understand that, like, first of all, people all work at different speeds, people all work at different lengths, and people all care about different things in different ways. And then on top of that, everybody's going to have an ego. And once the ego took the back seat and once the leadership from me was able to kind of push everything, back together, like you said, we had our very much fair shares of screaming matches. I've screamed at people so much to like I literally lose my voice. I'm so pissed off. But that hasn't happened in over a year. Like, we don't do that anymore. That's just not us. We all grew up. We all kind of compartmentalized and understood that's not how you're going to run a business. Screaming, yelling, fighting, that's never going to get you anywhere. You have to just talk like adults. You have to understand. You have to also take blame. Understand, like, if you screwed up, or stuff like that. Being able to understand, like, all those different concepts is what's led our team to be just that much more built. And just like you said, Vince, the difference between 2 years ago and the difference between today, it's unrecognizable. And it's great to hear you say those exact same things that we were doing, that you were doing too. It's like we were literally like, here's both of us going up at the same exact time, if that makes sense.
It does. And so the bottom line, I think Hunter and I both agree, as the owner of this business, myself and Paul, the buck stops here. So if it's fucked up, it's my fault.
That's a Truman quote. That's great.
And it's no truer quote out there. If it's wrong, it's my fault. I either didn't express my intent, I didn't express my expectation, or I didn't follow through to make sure the job was done to the way we discussed it. That's it. So it's the only person that I can end up blaming at the end of the day is Vince Kimbrough or Paul Massey. That's it. Right? Now that we've gotten past some of those problems, now my team are starting to act like little owners. and they're now holding each other accountable to, hey, we don't need to do that. Let's do this. Let's clean that up instead of just leaving it before, right? Let's be organized so the next day's hunt isn't as difficult to do. So all those, right? All those steps, we were dealing with young
Right.
men, right? My guys are young, they're in their early 20s. They're learning through, like I say, wisdom. I got some wisdom. I've been around a bit, you know? So I had to not lower my expectations. I had to change them to understand who I'm working with now versus who I worked with prior. Right.
Right.
And in a paramilitary organization, you're the boss, and you do what you're told and you go about your business. It doesn't work that way. So for me, that was my struggle, and I still struggle with it. It's hard to take away 27 years of experience, but we're getting there as an organization. And it's been good. It's been good. I think we really have a very good understanding of where this company is now compared to where it was 3 years ago and to where it's going to go, and how we now have a plan. We have SOPs for cleaning every day. We have SOPs for maintenance. We have, schedule for guys that are, if you're off that morning from hunting and you're just scouting, when the trucks come in and the gear all comes back, your job is to clean it because you got to sleep in a little bit while the others were out early putting shit together. So now your job is to get all the gear ready for the next day while those guys go get their lunch, get a nap, right? And get ready to go scout the evening. So we have these things in place now that make our lives easier. And it just and like Hunter, you have to go through those moments to get out the backside. I think, Logan, in any business, whether it's a Fortune 500 company or whether it's Prairie Bomb Outfitters, you have to kind of go through the trenches to get to the other side. You got to get a kind of.
There comes a time too.
Go ahead, Hunter.
I was gonna say there comes a time too where you kind of get to take a second and breathe and look down on what you've created. Like I remember, big one for us was this turkey season. We just got our first group in for the lodge, and the four of us owners, we were all, taking a second. We were all sitting outside having a drink, waiting for the first turkey group to come in, and it was just kind of a moment where we all took a deep breath, having our drink, and looked around, and we were like, "Holy shit, guys! Like, we got this. We got this. I mean, we were looking at our lodge and we were, looking across all of the stuff that we've been able to amass over the last couple of years. And it was it was a really surreal moment for us to go to almost bask in the glory of what we have been able to do. And I feel like that's so important to do as a company owner is like, you're always wanting to do better, right? That you can always do better. You can always make more money. You can always be more successful, but sometimes you got to take some time to breathe and look back and just cherish the moment that you have now. Cherish what you have created already and enjoy that to its fullest extent.
I've got a question for you, Hunter.
Mhm.
If you, talking with Vince, if you could think of one challenge that he's going to experience going from, where he's at today to say, if he finished last season at 270, trying to get to 500, what is the one thing that you would say get a handle on that would help?
I would honestly use the word consistency. That was like when we made our jump this last year we every year we've like jumped from more to more clients, and like we went from a full duck season the first year with a light goose season, a decently full snow goose, to this last year we were wall to wall, basically completely full, and this year we're working towards wall to wall completely full with doubles. And jumping towards that many clients, the biggest thing that we had to compartmentalize and understand was it's every group matters, and be extremely consistent per group so that there is no different experience, so that you are always putting your best foot forward. Because it gets, when we had groups coming in and out last year, it got to a point where, obviously the guys were dragging, we were all tired come end of snow goose season. I mean, our pit wasn't working, so we were running feed rigs, dropping 2,000 decoys a morning, every morning, 6 days a week, hunting snow goose feeds and getting our ass kicked doing it.
Yeah.
And morale was low. The guides were tired. Everyone was getting up at 2 a.m. every day, but we fought to keep consistency. We fought to do our absolute best for every single group, no matter how much it drug us down to do it. And with that consistency came the rebookings, came the results, came the future success. I'd say that to anybody, not just Vince. This consistency is key.
Yeah.
I think so too. I firmly believe in that, and being consistent is the experience you got last year is going to be the same experience you got this year. It's going to be top notch. It's going to be equal. We're going to give you the same effort we gave you last year, and we're going to do that for every hunt. Like, so this year for us, we're running some doubles through crane season on weekends. We'll run 2 groups, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have some mix of some doubles throughout the day. But I think where we're hitting this year so like for us, our numbers don't let us get to that $500,000 mark with the number of hunters we bring in. We just don't.
Mm-hmm.
We just won't get there. The goal for us is almost just under 4 would be great. Like if we could book completely out, I think we'd be 379, 380, right around there, give or take a year. And I think we'll get close to that this year. I do. Just with our current bookings, we have some stuff in January to fill. But been getting some calls and some contacts, and people are rebooking from last year. And so I do think we'll get really close this year to being full.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it's
for you,
a good feeling.
It's a great feeling. It is. Like my crane season's booked. I don't have any room left for crane season. Unless I can acquire some.
It's fantastic to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. If I could acquire some land south of me that's a little warmer, that holds birds a little longer, I could still run some crane hunts. But historically, it just for us in our Amarillo area, and then you got to get down to that Lubbock mess, and I really don't want to get down to that Lubbock mess. That's a different animal down there that I don't have the patience for that. I just don't.
Well, cool. Vince, I wanted to see hindsight 2020. Obviously you've only been running it for 3 years, so you have plenty more years to go on running this. But looking back, what would you have done differently from the jump to kind of speed up or propel what you're doing so that other people that are listening to this, thinking about starting an outfitter, owning one, or are in the midst of, they've already started, so that they can learn from you?
Ask for help. For me, I didn't ask for help. I can do this. I'm running an insurance company, right? I ran units as a police lieutenant. I can run this. And the reality is I learned so much stuff that I didn't know that I needed to know that first year and a half, that first 2 years. Send text messages, send direct DMs to guys. I sent some DMs out to some people in the industry. I don't want to, and they were like, call me. I'm like, okay. And so I've started to do some of that now, where I'll reach out to somebody if I have a question about a lodge or about how you did this, or, what was your thought on that? I've had some great success of others in the industry taking a moment of their time to call me back or let me call them and pick their brain for 15, 20 minutes and then say, hey, dude, don't feel like you can't call me again. Save my number. And if I can help you anyway, I've had some great success with that. And I think that in itself, and then go back to Hunter, prioritize consistency and quality, not quantity. We looked at the first part of it. We could do 12 people or 15 people a day. And that for us as an organization, that number's too many, right? We had to sit down and say, okay, what's a better fit for the company? Would I rather run to smaller numbers and have better experience? And then the last thing I would say is understand your value. We undervalued ourselves the first couple of years of what we charged. And everybody told us that you're undervaluing yourself. You're undervaluing yourself. Well, coming from ample means as a kid growing up, I didn't want to overprice us. I wanted it to be blue collar where you can afford to come. And so I think we found a price point now that does that. Like, we really take care of our veterans. We had a big discount for veterans, first responders, nurses, teachers, right? Those blue collar people, when you call Prairie Bomb, you're going to get a discount. But I think we found a price point that fits our market. It's comparable to the people in our market. And it values us for what the service we're providing. So that's one thing, is don't undervalue yourself. We did that early, but we just didn't know. We didn't know. And so now we do. And so I think we're priced accordingly. And then be open to change. You got to be flexible. You have to be flexible. You may have a landowner one year that you go back the next year and he's like, I'm not leasing this year. Okay. For whatever reason, something happened, somebody made him mad, whatever it was. And so you were kind of counting on that guy. Now you got to, okay, what do I do next? Where do I go next? Whose door do I knock on next? Who do I call next? So those are the things that I think you have to going into this is understand your market, understand what you're providing, don't undervalue yourself, and don't overbook yourself. Stay small, start small and grow. Don't try to start big and then get bigger. Start small and develop.
Mm-hmm. We say change is great because it is.
Yeah.
That's our our core value related to that.
Our core value is fuck luck, work harder. So, that's
I like that one.
That's Paul Massey's right. That's a Paul Massey special. Hey, fuck luck, work harder. Right. We just want to work harder, and so that's kind of where we have some of those moments where, like, when we start getting down, like one of our guys or me, or if I'm starting to they'll look at me like, hey, work harder, fuck luck, work harder. Let's go. All right, let's go. Let's refocus.
Love that.
I like it. Yeah. I'm kind of gonna run backwards a little bit, but I think it's an important topic to cover. And it sounds like both of you all have had success in this. But y'all are talking about things that you had to learn as a leader. And I think for a lot of these guys out here in the hunting community, especially, like, usually you're dealing with younger guys that are working with you most of the time, or guys that have opinions on how things should be done. How did y'all, I want to hear from both of you, how do you win influence over your guides? How did you empower them and make them feel like they were seen, heard, and a part of this, like, this vision going forward with your business? Don't be shy.
I'll go. I think I said it. I don't even think I know I said it in that other interview when we did it, but telling them everything matters. Like, everything you do has a purpose. Everything you're gonna do means something to the company, no matter how big or how small it is, how annoying, how just bitch work you want to call it. Well, whatever it is, you matter. Your job matters. This all matters. And when you say, we didn't always say that, like, that they didn't get, they used to not get that. We used to say, like, I just remember one time, for example, we had one of our old employees who no longer works for us. He was cleaning our company trucks up, and we were having him shine up the trucks and clean out all the back seat, clean all the dash, the seats, basically get it all looking spotless. And he said, "Why are we doing that when it's going to get dirty tomorrow when you go hunting?" And I said, "Because if you don't keep up with it, it's never going to look good. Like, if you keep up with it and you keep on top of it, it's going to keep looking good." And we have clients that ride in this truck. And do you want your clients to get in the truck and look down and find 50 monster cans and chip bags and sandwich wrappers and a dusty ass dash and dirt all over the place? Like, no, you want a client to get in and see it's clean. So once a week we clean our trucks. And he didn't get that. And what I failed to do is I failed to explain to him, this is the purpose that you're serving, and this is what the job does, and this is how you're helping our company. Instead, I was more like, going back to my older leadership style, I was more aggressive. I said, "You're going to do this because I'm telling you to do it, and that's your damn job." And it doesn't work like that, And so I've taken that time to explain the purpose and explain how what they're doing matters. A, you're going to get a much better response, but B, you're going to have a lot more well-built family style environment for your team.
So for me, I had to go back and realize what kind of leader was I. So when I used to teach the police academy and teach young guys, I used to teach cops how to train new cops. Excuse me, I'm spitting everywhere. And the only thing I had to realize too is what kind of leader am I as a person, right? I'm what's called a servant leader, a servant leadership style, where I'm here to better the people around me. And what I realized that first couple of years of doing this is I really wasn't being servant. I was being very autocratic, very dictator type of leadership, where this is what I want done, instead of explaining the why, right? My wife sat down and gave me some life lessons about, if you tell people the why, they're happy. So when I use police work, why did you pull me over? Here's the reason why I stopped you today. Well, if I give them the why up front, it diffuses everything. Okay. So what I had to do is go back and then decide I had to stop being that autocratic, that kind of that hard dictator type leader and become more servant and give my people a say and include them in decisions. Like I'll call Dawson, hey man, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? Dawson Welch, he's our manager, our general manager. Hey Dawson, what do you think about this decision, this idea? And he's like, that is the wackest idea I have ever heard. Right? That is just dumb. Right? But he'll tell me. But that's where we've gotten to a point now where he'll say this. He'll go, hey boss man, you really want to? That's kind of or he'll say, hey, that's a really good idea. I like that idea. Right? We now have empowered them to make decisions. Right? Dawson has pure autonomy. If I'm not there, let's say I'm working, I had to go back to home to run something here in San Antonio where I live, and I'm not in Amarillo, right? And Dawson has full power to run the company, make decisions. If he needs to refund somebody, or if he needs to make a decision on the field or pay a landowner, he has a bank card, right? Go run the company. That's how we've empowered him to make those decisions. And I think the other thing too is from being my age, I have to listen to the young guys. They know they know their shit, especially when it comes to this tech stuff, right? Or the ideas of tech, or using Onyx, or Instagram and Facebook and all these different ad space and what's going on in the world. Like Carson's 22, 23 years old, and there's that little. If I struggle on a goose call, I go to him. I'm 55. I've been calling geese forever, but he's better. He's so much better than I am at it, right? I mean, why am I screwing this up, right? So I think you have to, you have to trust your people. You have to put, like you said, check your ego at the door and listen to what they have to say and trust them, right? And include all of them in the decision making. So if we're going to make a decision about something let's say on a Tuesday night, and we're struggling for a hunt for Wednesday, I'll get everybody together. Okay, what's what is your thoughts? All right, let's make a collective decision on what we're going to do. And usually it works out. Someone will come up with something and it'll work out. They're like, oh, hey, we thought about this yet? Or we thought about that farmer? Did anybody scout that yet? Holy shit, no. Okay, let's get somebody to go get in a truck. Go scout that. Call us. Right? Go see what it looks like. Right? And so I think empowering everybody in my company to make decisions. When you're on a hunt and you're the guide for that hunt, that's your hunt. You make the decisions. We may talk about it afterwards. Hey, what happened? What went wrong? What went right? Maybe you think about this, you think about that. But while that hunt's going on, no one, not me, not Paul, we're not coming in the middle of that hunt and stopping it now, unless there's a safety violation, something illegal or unsafe is happening. But when it comes to decision making on decoy placement, blind placement, how they're calling, how they're working, the decision on the bird calling the shot, all that's on the guide. That's their decision. That's their job. It's not my job. My job is the owner, right? My job is to get them all the equipment they need, to secure land that they need, to provide them the financial backing they need to go out and execute the hunt. That's my job now as the owner. I'm not the guy. Now, do I love to go out and hunt? Absolutely. But I hunted less last year than I ever have because I was running the business. I was being the owner and not getting in the damn way of my guides being guides. And that's been another big change for us is get out of the effing way and let the guys do what they do best. And that's guide hunts. That's what we pay them for. And so for us as an organization, that's the thing that we're doing better. And that's what makes our company, I think this year for us is going to be a banner year. If the birds cooperate and the birds do what the birds are supposed to do, I think we're going to have a fantastic year.
Yeah. I think, to summarize what I think we kind of covered a good bit here is know when to be a leader and know when to be a follower. Sometimes you got to follow the people that you put in place for a reason, but it's easy to lose sight of that reason why you put that person there. Sometimes you just listen to them. And when you do that, great things.
Let your managers manage. That's the one thing I'm working on is letting go. Letting Dawson manage, right? And letting the other guys in the company manage. And then now that we're starting to do that, it takes a bunch of stress off of me. I can't control the weather. I can't control the birds, right, Hunter? So
Yeah, yeah.
the rest of it is
That's
up to, you know,
that's
I have the
exactly
people in
like
place to go do that job.
how how you're describing. That's exactly how we have it here. Just like obviously with us being four owners, all 25%, there's no like division between any of us. But like in the same way of I'm just the one is like the one that oversees everything because that's just my job as the manager. But being able to just like with Justin, for example, he's running around today talking to all of our landowners, just working on property acquisition and doing that stuff. And like, I don't. There's no babysitting. I'm not calling him every 20 minutes, going, "What's going on? How's this doing?" At the end of the day, he comes back, he talks to me, tells me what happened, what went well, what didn't, and that's
Mhm.
that. And like, I'm having complete faith in everybody to do their job and trusting them. Each and every one's doing their own different thing. With Grant's been calling people all day, just like every day, and Sam's been managing projects with our employees out at the house, and just like we have such a smooth system now of this like delegation of okay, we all trust each other to do our own job and manage each our own part of the company in our own way, and it's just a beautiful thing when you have that in such a well-oiled machine like that.
This year for us, we rented a house for the entire year. So we now have a residence in Amarillo that's just for the guides. We would Airbnb, and now we have a place that's just ours on a
That's awesome.
lease. And it's actually on, it's super cool. It's on a piece of farmland. One of our farmers has it. We're getting to use it. Still working out the deal. It's not 100% done, but it's pretty much done. Hoping it's pretty much done. And for us, it's a big deal because now we have a home,
Yeah.
a place that we could call our own. Equipment can stay with us. It's that to us, it's that next evolution. You know, this is our place. And then next year we can hopefully turn our profits into a piece of property and then start developing that piece of property with infrastructure, electricity, water, sewer, power, all those things that come with that. And then the year after that, we get, our lodge put on and built on and then start running that aspect of our company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on that note, Vance, before we wrap up and head out, I think it would be, I'm speaking for everyone when I say I'd love to have you back on and just keep this kind of on a regular cadence. But I want to hear, bigger plans for Prairie Bomb Outfitters, where y'all are going, what you see the future for y'all.
So this next year, we are actually going to get into turkey hunting. We're adding Rios to the list for spring turkey season. We're working on that land acquisition now. We're looking just about 20,000 acres that we're going to take under contract to run turkey hunts on. So working on that deal. It's not quite done yet. We have some temporary, handshakes. Hey, we're going to at least talk about this thing. And then we actually we had an opportunity to look into Canada, and we passed on that. I think for us as an organization, we really need to get really good at what we're doing first here, and have an understanding of who we are as a company and have some established, track record before we take that leap.
Right.
But that is something that I think as an organization we would consider 3 or 4 years from now, maybe 5 years from now, expanding north and offering, an early season up in Canada would be I think the evolution of Prairie Bomb. Is to I would love to get into early teal. We just don't have I don't have the water resource in Amarillo to do
Right.
early teal. I just don't. But I think that would be a lot of fun to run an early teal season. I would love it. But I think adding turkeys, we're dabbling with some friends to do some, not necessarily through Prairie Bomb, but associated with Prairie Bomb, some antelope hunts, some mule deer hunts, some whitetail hunts, with another
Very cool.
group of guys out of the Amarillo area that are kind of running that side of it. And so I'm hoping all that comes to fruition. I know this year we'll run some antelope hunts with those guys and help them out. We help them out with some infrastructure They'll actually be reaching out to you guys here probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks to
Cool.
get signed up with Mallard Bay, and they have their own entity. We're just kind of helping them get started with some landowners, and that we know had antelopes that were open to putting in for landowner antelope tags and whatnot. So, but that's kind of where we're going, is to grow. But I think Hunter can attest to this, where they're at is, let's get really good at who we are first before
Yeah.
we have exponential growth, right? And so I think that evolution is, okay, let's get really good at cranes and geese and ducks here in Amarillo or our area. Let's get into some spring turkey hunting, right? And then let's build the lodge and start doing some other things.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, guys, do y'all have any other questions for Vince or any other comments?
Hunter, you coming? You be at Delta? I mean, yeah, you going to Delta?
Yep, we'll be at Delta. And my closing comment was, it's just really cool to hear your story. It was great to hear, like, in a way, it was great to relate to what you had to say and everything, like how you got to where you were. Like, it was so relatable to me. And it was a great time. It was a great episode.
For sure.
Same thing, Hunter.
Yeah.
It's funny because you don't. Nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors, right? You don't know what other people are doing. You don't know
No.
that. Dude, we had, like you said, we had some moments, man, where are we going to do this? Are we going to keep this business going? Is this the direction we're headed? Is this right? Do we
Yeah.
just sell off everything and fuck it, move on, right?
Mhm.
And I think after this last year, coming into this last season, after the success we had, it's carried over into this off season of, okay, we are pretty damn good at this, right? We do put on a good hunt. We have good guys, and people like coming to hunt with us. But behind the doors, man, you're right. I had no idea you guys struggled. I had no idea Hunter struggled early as a leader. I just think you see it on Instagram. These guys are crushing it.
Right.
You're like, damn, man, my boys to the north are crushing it. That's fucking awesome. But to
Thank
understand,
you.
they have gone through the same
Thank you.
BS and the same trenches we went through to get here. That means a lot. Even, how old are you, Hunter? What, 25?
I'm 22.
Yeah, 22. Jesus Christ, right? I could imagine being 22 and I didn't have the maturity at 22, right? I was in the Marine Corps at 22 being stupid, So, I mean,
Yeah.
I've had
but
to
this,
grow up pretty quick.
Yeah.
dude, and that's amazing. And to hear that, to go through those same things is super. You're not alone, bro. At 55, we still go through those. You still have trials and tribulations. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but we're super happy for your success, man. We're rooting for you, guys
Us too.
to keep crushing it, man.
Us too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And
I got one comment. Back to Vince, what you said about, thinking about just wiping your hands. When you're on the verge of something great, you're given an opportunity to quit. And not only are you given one opportunity to quit, you're given multiple opportunities to quit. But when you turn those opportunities down, you start to see what happens when patience comes into play. So it's awesome.
I appreciate that. It means a lot, guys. It really does. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak. And I'll leave it with this. My final comment is Mallard Bay is a great organization. And if you're a guide and you're thinking about, should I sign up? Should I not? You're silly not to. I mean, they take such good care of their customers. I can pick up a phone and call. I know Hunter can. Any of the guides can. Call your rep. I've got a problem. Okay, let's fix it. Not whose fault was it? It's none of that. It's okay, let's fix it. So if you're looking for an organization to help build your business, to help take care of you with infrastructure, I mean, you guys make that part of our jobs so much easier. I can't say enough about that part of it. So thank you for the opportunity to be here. It was great. I had a great time. Hope it was a great show. I had a blast.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was awesome, and thank you for the kind words, Vince, and for coming on. Where can people find you, Vince, in your business?
PrairieBombOutfitters.com is our website. They can get us at Prairie Bomb Outfitters Official on Instagram, Prairie Bomb Outfitters on Facebook, and that's kind of where we're at.
Cool.
So come find us. Come check out the website. There's some videos, some pictures. Book a hunt. Love to have you. Come give us a call. So
Yeah.
and
Definitely do all those things that Vince said, especially, looking for a crane hunt in West Texas or a waterfowl hunt in West Texas. Definitely go and check them out and give Vince a call. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to talk to you
Yeah.
and tell you about the experience that they offer. And Vince, Hunter, thank you all for your transparency on here again. The whole point of this podcast is just to improve or really help and provide that open door that y'all are talking about. Everything behind closed doors that goes on in this industry. It's so easy with social media nowadays, and just people with ego going and presenting it as it's easy or whatever it might be. But thank y'all for being transparent and just really opening that door out to the general public so that other people can have the opportunity to learn from y'all's mistakes that y'all have had. So if you enjoyed this podcast, if you learned something new from it, please share it, subscribe, whatever it is on the platform that you're listening to get notified when a new podcast comes out. Please do so. Share it with other outfitters, charters, whatever it might be, and even honestly other business owners. I think all these concepts that Hunter and Vince shared today applies in any business across the board. So please share it and stay tuned for the next GuideTech podcast. I appreciate it, guys.